Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Generation 9 of Pokemon is finally here, with the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet coming out on Nintendo Switch. The Pokemon Company have promised to deliver a never-before-seen open-world Pokemon game. The Legends of Arceus was released early in this year of 2022, and it showed that Game Freak was capable of putting a modern twist on the Pokemon series, with its semi-open-world environment and refreshing new mechanics. Will the innovation continue into Scarlet and Violet and be the penultimate entry into the open-world genre? Let's dive right into my review of the new games. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet introduces brand new story objectives and gameplay styles never before seen in a Pokemon title. Alongside your journey to collect all 8 gym badges to challenge the Elite Four, there are also 2 additional story pathways to uncover and play through, overall extending the game content quite significantly. This game is actually generally the most fun I've had in a main series Pokemon game after releases of White and Black. The gyms and additional story plots are a blast to play through. I'm now going to go into detail about each of these 3 story arcs without going into any spoilers and discuss what value they added to the series as a whole. Jumping straight into the traditional main storyline of Pokemon games, the gyms are back, being able to be challenged in any order for the first time ever. Overall, I think the gyms in this game are really solid, but there are a couple of questionable decisions. Without any doubt, the best feature of these new gyms are the gym leaders themselves. The gym leaders in this game have very good, immaculate design and are, in my opinion, some of the best in the whole series. Before you fight each gym leader to claim your badge, you have to do a simple gym challenge to earn the right to fight. The gym challenges are really easy, but enjoyable. They incorporate the environment of the city really well and are fun to play, but a bit of a drag. The gym battles themselves with the leader now incorporate the new Terra mechanic, when the leader is on their last Pokemon, mixing up their last Pokemon's type for a unique battle. This is also a really good addition, but all of the gyms run into the same issue. There is no level scaling for the gym leaders. Game Freak just decided that all the gyms would have predefined levels, which don't adjust at all as you progress throughout the game. What this results is you versing 1 or 2 super difficult gyms, and then breezing through the easier ones as you've already versed some of the most difficult gym battles. I just don't understand why Game Freak would have thought this was a good idea. The other main issue with the gyms themselves is, well, the gym building itself. They're now just a glorified lobby, and that's about it. This is a major downgrade from previous titles, where each gym have a memorable interior layout that matches their type. Having the battles themselves now take place outside in a court just in the regular city makes the gyms feel like they have no purpose and are just overall very lazy and uninspired. There is one specific gym in the game where you have to fight what seems to be a gym underground in disguise. And this is easily the best gym in the game, as there is actually a gym that you battle inside of. It's a shame to see some of the best designed gym leaders way down with generic outside battle courts, no actual type themed gym, and no challenge at all from the lack of level scaling. The next major story segment introduced in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is hunting down colossal Titan Pokemon roaming around the open worlds. At your own convenience, you must track down and challenge all 5 Titan Pokemon that are lurking around every corner of the map and challenge them in a battle. Overall, I thought this feature was great, and I thought it added a lot of value to the overall story, especially journeying with the character Arven. The biggest issue I had with Dynamaxing and Titan Pokemon and other similar mechanics was that you bring 6 Pokemon to verse the 1 Titan. I think it would be a lot more fair and balanced if you can only send in 1 Pokemon, as it's just too easy with a full team of Pokemon. Sword and Shield had a similar mechanic with Gigantamaxing, but it never really had the boss effect, as you could just Gigantamax your own Pokemon and absolutely destroy them. Titans feel unique as they are their own thing. You can't make your Pokemon a Titan itself. Overall though, the Titan fights are great because they offer what feels like the first true Pokemon boss fight mechanic that can't really be replicated and rendered useless by your own Pokemon team, also turning into a Titan. The Titan fights were a great mechanic and a welcome addition to the franchise, and are a blast to verse. I really enjoyed all 5 of the encounters. I would love to see this feature reintroduced in a later generation. Hopefully then they would only allow 1 Pokemon to verse the Titan to make it feel more like a boss fight. The last story pathway has you tracking down the notorious Team Star and infiltrating 5 of their outposts to end their tyranny. The infiltration first starts with you raiding the base and sending out your Pokemon to automatically battle them. I thought this feature was okay. The auto battle is somewhat refreshing compared to versing 50 enemy team Zubats and other repetitively used Pokemon. Fun fact, this game actually doesn't have any Zubats. Maybe that's why it's so good. After you beat the raid, you come up to the team leader, and oh boy, These fights are just spectacular. I really enjoyed these battles and thought they were some of the best moments in the game. All of the leaders had great design, some even standing out more than gym leaders, and the fights are really fun. This mixes up the old style rival team battles with an exciting boss fight at the end that is a lot more fun to play through. The only real downside to this entire story arc is that all 5 of the bases are very similar and seem like direct copy and pastes of the bases. I appreciate Game Freak trying to incorporate even a slither of storyline and character development through the story arc. I thought overall Team Star made a more memorable impact than previous generation rival teams and leaders. Now that we've covered off all the story points, let's talk about some of the new mechanics introduced to the game. When I initially heard about the new battle gimmick being similar to Gigantamaxing and Mega Evolving, I dreaded that it wouldn't stand on its own and be very generic and overdone at this point. Terrestrializing, in my opinion, is actually the most fun mechanic introduced yet, simply due to one reason: changing the Pokemon base type. In the wild, it is possible to hunt down and find Pokemon with random terrestrializing types. This really changes the team potential of a lot of Pokemon. In my opinion, adding in any new feature which adds a new type of Pokemon to hunt in the overworld is a great addition, and the fact that terrestrializing is actually fun makes this a great addition to the series. Pokemon outbreaks also return in this title and are better than ever, spawning in a massive influx of one species of Pokemon in a certain area. I mean, there could be up to 100, this is absolutely crazy. This makes hunting certain shiny Pokemon and the whole shiny hunting experience in general a lot more exciting. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet also introduced a new battling mechanic called auto battling. At any time in the overworld, you can throw a Pokemon out of its ball, and if it's near a wild Pokemon, this will actually start an automatic battle that takes mere seconds to complete. This feature is amazing. Pokemon is known for incredibly hand-holding gameplay that is often bogged down with unskippable cutscenes and animations. Any addition improving gameplay speed such as this is a great improvement. Auto battles also do not engage any shiny Pokemon, making a reliable way to find shinies in the overworld. Moving on to what might be the most consistently reliably great feature of Game Freak games, the soundtrack for Scarlet and Violet is phenomenal. Pokemon games have always had amazing soundtracks. This is always a high point in any Pokemon game, and Scarlet and Violet is no exception. The Scarlet and Violet OST just feels so enchanting and immersive. It's great to see features like dynamic music used to fade between when you are entering the overworld, entering cities, and even going to Pokemon centers. This soundtrack also doesn't fall into the generic pitfall of most open world game soundtracks, where they try to be as minimalistic as possible, similar to Breath of the Wild. Game Freak attempted this style for Legends of Arceus, and I thought it worked okay for that game, but having bombastic, thrilling musical scores guiding you through the open world with brand new instruments and styles just feels so much more natural for the game and its gameplay. The music feels incredibly inspired and elevates all the best segments of the game: hunting titans, versing gym leaders, and versing team style leaders. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet add a whole host of additional features. The sheer amount of content added in this game really feels a lot larger than in previous titles. Cooking enables you to use various items and ingredients found within your Pokemon journey to make items that provide useful stat increases to your Pokemon. There's even a recipe for increasing your chance of encountering a shiny Pokemon. Great work, Game Freak! TMs are now craftable at any Pokemon Center, being crafted from Pokemon drops found within the open world map. It's a bit disappointing to see that TMs will be one-time use again after they were just made unlimited in the Legend of Arceus, but this edition adds a lot more value to the crafting materials, which feel natural and fun to collect. Pokemon can also relearn and delete moves straight from your menu screen. This is also a great feature returning from Arceus. In the overworld, Pokemon will now have randomized height values, and you can find Pokemon that are either smaller or larger than they typically are. This complements the open world game a lot as they feel very natural. It's great seeing Pokemon often grouped with their evolutions as the leader and other similarly typed Pokemon. Character designs for the gym leaders, Elite Four, and Team Stars are spot on, and the game offers, in my opinion, the best Pokemon main storyline. Terra raids are also fun and certainly a lot better than Gigantamax raids, but the online functionality is currently littered with bugs and issues. The last topic I would like to review today is the open world aspect of the game itself, the very bread and butter of what Game Freak has claimed to make this game be unique. For the most part of the open world, it is a game changer, traversing through the world and hunting down new Pokemon to catch. It's great that random grass encounters are a thing of the past. This feels very dated and didn't need to come back. Pokemon feels so much more alive and natural with all the Pokemon roaming around in the world. The game itself feels much less bloated without the need for continuous mandatory trainer battles and random grass encounters. It feels so much better visually scouting out the Pokemon that you want to catch, seeing it with a group of other similar Pokemon, and seeing them interact with the world. It's amazing and often hilarious, entering a battle and seeing all of the Pokemon around you still being in a natural environment. This has always been my opinion of what next generation Pokemon should be. But unfortunately, with every positive in this game comes a huge step backwards that holds it back from reaching its true potential. The open world and performance issues go directly hand in hand. The game is chock full of visual bugs, awful movement, unbearable frame rate drops, and other various issues. While I agree that some of the funniest moments of the game come from various visual bugs such as clipping through the wall, your Pokemon trainer bugging out, and even seeing people or Pokemon casually float through your battle, the frame rate drops are the final nail in the coffin. This game is so unoptimized that even indoor scenes such as the classroom or inside this cave absolutely tank the frame rate. There is absolutely no reason for this at all. The Legend of Arceus had a similar scale of gameplay and was at least able to hold through steady and stable through most parts of the game. This is a colossal step backwards. No matter how much better the gameplay is, terrible optimization and performance is holding the game back from being its true advertised innovative potential. Forget all these new ancient Paradox Pokemon. I think Timmy in the back here is a past Paradox Pokemon, being stuck in 5 frames per second. When his other classmates here are having the time of their lives not being programmed on a console from decades ago. I couldn't play certain areas for more than 30 minutes without feeling physically nauseous from the choppy frame rate and glitches. I generally don't understand how it is legally okay for Nintendo to show trailers of a game with such different, inaccurate indications of how smooth the gameplay actually is. Unfortunately, this isn't the only issue with the game. There are significantly other bad choices that really hinder the game from shining. There are so many buildings throughout cities and the map that can't be entered or explored. They are just hollow space fillers. This feels like I'm playing GTA 4. Even that had more buildings you could go into. You could bowl with Let's go bowling! The open world map itself is very plain and boring. The Pokemon that you find are really the only things that are interesting about the terrain itself. Alongside these giant empty maps, having no shiny indicator or sound is a tremendous step back for absolutely no reason at all. I am partially colorblind and have accepted the fact that I'm going to miss a tremendous amount of shiny Pokemon, as identifying the differences is often too minute. I'm just stuck with always auto-battling hordes and hoping that I eventually come across a shiny. The gym battles themselves are incredibly easy, not having any level scaling. This was a really bad decision, combined with the lack of actual gym building interiors, making them feel really lackluster, and devoid of previous personality shown in all the games prior. Removing the ability to throw Pokeballs at wild Pokemon without battling is another huge step back. The odds of capturing a high-level Pokemon without a battle is very low in this game, and it would have been a great returning feature that fits into the game balance well. The champion battle is extremely lackluster. It is commonly agreed that the champion of this region is one of the easiest teams to steamroll. No voice acting makes so many important scenes of this game fall extremely flat, with seconds or even minutes of absolute silence. This is such a real disappointment, as this game has, in my opinion, the best story, and it would have benefited the most from this addition. The post-game is okay, the new area introduced is great, but it baffles me that you can only re-challenge gym leaders one time after the Elite Four. Rebattling gym leaders is such a great feature and a staple of the series. Limiting it to only one time is such a waste of bringing it back. Now that we've covered all the gameplay mechanics and the stories, let's jump right into the review of the game. Overall, if the technical issues were not present in the game, I would rate Pokemon Violet and Scarlet with a great score of 8. This game's story and gameplay is in every regard a great improvement from Pokemon Sword and Shield. However, releasing a game plagued with issues is not acceptable for any game developer in this modern day and age, let alone the biggest grossing company in the world. Game Freak should be ashamed of the performance of the game and frankly embarrassed about the state of the title at the launch. Even if multiple patches eventually come out later down the line to fix the issues, the game should never have been released in the state that it was initially. This knocks back a solid 2 points off the score, leaving my final review for the game to be 6 out of 10. I've seen a lot of reviews claim that this is a step in the right direction for the gameplay, but if a game is butchered down by laughable performance, the game needs to be critiqued with this in mind. Game Freak has shown that they are incapable alone to develop the next generation Pokemon game that they've been promising, without the assistance of another company. The best outcome we can see from this game as a whole is either Nintendo acquiring Game Freak and overseeing development, or Game Freak collaborating with other capable studios such as Monolith Studio to help with their scale of the game. I mean, just look at what Monolith Studio did for Breath of the Wild. They're amazing at these games. For now, all we could do is hope that Nintendo do see that the reviews really did point out how bad the performance and issues were in this game, and that these issues are finally addressed in the 10th generation of Pokemon, the next release. Pokemon deserves this much, and even more so, the fans deserve it even more. Any game made in 2022 shouldn't have these issues. Thanks so much for checking out my review. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and subscribing. Did you enjoy these new titles more than The Legend of Arceus? Let me know down in the comments below. Thanks again, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!